it's Jem here. Thank you for joining me, YouTube. I'm going to be talking about self-harm today, and it's self-harm part 1, understanding self-harm. I'm going to be talking very briefly about what self-harm is. I'm going to be talking about the different types of self-harm, and then I'm going to focus my attention on why we self-harm. This is a very gentle subject, so I'm approaching it with caution, but I want to say a few things before we start. Firstly, I do not condone self-harm. I am not here to promote it. I am not here to say it is the solution to all problems. However, what I am saying is that unfortunately a lot of people, including myself, go to this place to perform these self-harming acts, and it's a natural reaction for us. It can be addictive, and it can take over so much that, you know, we don't want to do anything else. So I want to raise awareness about this as much as I can, but I also want everyone to understand that I am not in any way promoting self-harm as a method to cope with your mental illness. But it is something that a lot of people do, and that's why we need to be talking about it. We also need to be talking about it because I found this shocking statistic from mentalhealth.org, a really useful website for different information on mental health, that the UK has the highest rate of self-harm than any other country in Europe. So that's about 400 in every 100,000 people suffering from self-harm. I didn't know we were the highest in Europe, and that's kind of shocked me a bit. But I want to ask you guys, why do you think this is? I personally think it's the way our society is slowly falling apart. We're becoming more divided, there's more hate, and you know, people are experiencing a lot of injustice and a lot of hate, and yeah, we're all kind of losing our sense of community and separating from each other, creating division, you know. And I don't even want to go into the state of the world's politics right now, but that doesn't help either. Right, I'm going off on a tangent. That's not what we want to do. So that's my statistic. So yes, and I finally want to say that I have been self-harming since I was about 16 years old. I go through phases. One, you know, maybe for a month or so I might self-harm more, and then maybe not do it for about 6 months, depending on my state of mind, depending on my mood, and depending where I am on my sort of BPD levels. So what is self-harm? I'm going to read this. It's taken from Self-Harm UK based self-harm charity, and the web address is selfharm.co.uk. I'm just going to read this out and then explain it afterwards. The phrase self-harm is used to describe a range of behaviours. Self-harm is often misunderstood to be a physical response to an emotional pain of some kind, and can be very addictive. Everyone has accidents from time to time resulting in cuts and bruises, but it's the injuries that are caused on purpose that are considered to be acts of self-harm. Self-harm often happens during times of anger and distress, fear, worry, depression, or low self-esteem in order to manage or control negative feelings. Self-harm can also be used as a form of self-punishment for something someone has done, they think they have done, are told by someone else that they have done, or that they have allowed to be done to themselves. The bottom line is that anything that causes you harm, even slight harm, which in some ways makes you feel better emotionally, can fall under the umbrella of self-harm. So it's basically something that it's a behaviour that is maybe developed from a young age. It usually starts developing around the early to mid-teens, and it is, it's something that some people go to take away from emotional pain. It's some people go to just punish themselves. And it can happen when you're feeling really, really strong emotions. I've said earlier on that anger and distress and things like that, in that definition. For me, when I'm angry, I want to punch, I want to hit, I want to smash, I want to break. When I'm in distress, so when I get confused or flustered by something, that will make me get angry quite quickly and then go towards self-harm. When I'm feeling really, really depressed, like seriously depressed, that is when I will go towards self-harm as well, and that will probably be more towards the cutting side of things. So self-harm is anything that can be said to that will hurt you, that will take away your emotional pain, maybe even make you feel better, or make you feel more clarity, you see more clearly. So anything like that will fall under the self-harm umbrella. So like I said, it doesn't have to be blunt force trauma like punching. It could be, you know, taking loads of drugs. It could be putting yourself in dangerous situations, maybe reckless driving, or even, you know, maybe sleeping around, having sort of promiscuous sex. So that's what I sorry, that's what I would say self-harm is. But what are the different acts? So there's different types of ways that people self-harm. I've taken this from BPD for Dummies because I'm not saying that everyone who has BPD self-harms. I'm also not saying if you self-harm you have BPD. What I am saying is that this book has a really, really well put together description of what it is. So the different types of self-harming acts: cutting, burning, blunt force trauma, skin picking and hair pulling, intentional accidents. So cutting, this is probably one of the more common methods and probably one of the more recognised methods of self-harm is cutting, and this will usually happen on the arms, the legs, or the abdomen. Again, please, I just want to stress here that I do not condone self-harm. I am explaining self-harm. I am not doing this to give people tips and information on how to self-harm. So if you're a cutter, then you might use various tools such as razor blades, scissors, paper clips, staples, things like that. And sometimes you even scratch yourself so much that it will bleed, and that's something that I've done, and a lot of time on my legs, scratch, until the skin bleeds. And yeah, that when you see that blood, when you feel that pain, it does take away from the emotional pain. Burning. This is the second one. People often burn themselves with cigarettes, lighters, matches, sometimes even with boiling water, scalding water, and numerous scars can appear over time. Blunt force trauma, this is mainly my area of self-harm. Pounding fists against walls, punching oneself, banging one's head into something hard, using a hammer or other tool to inflict pain on one's body. I tend to pick up whatever's closest to me, which tends to be my phone. And I actually, at the weekend, my phone, I was getting very distressed, very flustered and very confused about something that was going on, and I went straight to anger and straight to phone bashing on the head. And for the first time in a while, I actually made my head bleed, so much so that we thought A&E visit was going to happen, but thankfully it didn't, and the blood stopped quite quickly. But yeah, I have used other implements to make myself hurt. And yeah, I've had bruises, scars, and in some cases people can even break their bones. I've not got there yet, but, well, I don't want to say yet because I don't want to get there, but skin picking and hair pulling. So, you know, you could be kind of constantly pulling your hair out, picking at things, fiddling with things. I'm constantly skin picking. I've got compulsive skin picking on my lips, and you can't really see, but there's little red marks from different scabs and picking over the years. But that's another area as well. Intentional accidents, behaviours in this category appear accidental at first. However, some people, you know, they then maybe not being careful, or maybe not being as mindful, or maybe not even putting on safety clothing, because they just, you know, they're part of their brain's almost kind of like so reckless that it's like, you know, it doesn't matter what you do because, yeah, you want to get hurt, right? And that must be really hard for people who don't understand the illness, or people who see people with the illness and think, why would you want to hurt yourself? You're beautiful, you're lovely, you're wonderful, why would you want to hurt yourself? And yeah, it must be really, really hard. But it's not something that, you know, it's a behaviour that we've developed over a long period of time. And if you're just coming into self-harm now, you know, I really feel for you, and it's a really dark and lonely place. But there are other people going through it. There are lots of people in this world going through self-harm, and maybe we can all be there to support each other, be kind to each other, and help each other get through it. And then, yeah, so so those are the main areas of where people self-harm. But why do we self-harm? So a lot of the time it's to get attention. So it might be that we're stressing about something, worrying about something, and if we, you know, maybe we've got, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a really good example here, but my brain is mushy. So it might be that, you know, you feel that you're, maybe you've got a fear of abandonment, or a fear that someone's going to leave you, so if you hurt yourself it'll make them stay. Or it may even, like I say, just to get attention, it might be like, just say, people don't understand how severe my illness is, if I self-harm maybe they will. And that is this could be a cry for help. If someone's putting themselves in that situation and making sure that they're getting self-harming, then it might be that they'll be like, hey, please, I need you, I need your love, I need your support. If you go in there kind of like, what are you doing, why are you self-harming, they're not going to trust you, and they're going to run a mile, and they may even just go and do it again because of their trust. I'm not saying it's your fault, it's never your fault. If you're a carer or supporter of someone with self-harm, it is never your fault that they have done this. I promise you. It is because of how they are feeling. Even if you've triggered them, it's still not your fault. You are not holding up the knife or the phone. You're not holding up any of that to hurt them. They are choosing to do that themselves. So it's really hard, I know, but please try and take away how you think it might be your fault, because it is not. They would do it whether you were there or not. Main reason, I would say, to distract from emotional pain. So like we talked about this earlier in the video, but if I'm feeling really absolute desolation, depression, where I'm a zombie, I call it sometimes a zombie, because I'm just very flat and it's awful. You numb, almost numb sometimes, and when you feel that pain, it takes you back, it brings you back, it kind of makes you feel normal again. Normal, not a great word, but for me, I go from a really distressed state, I self-harm, I'm no longer in that distressed state. Now there are other methods which I'm going to be talking about throughout my whole Little Blue Pot series. I'll be talking about different ways to cope with your emotions, and how not to reach for harmful things like self-harm. So to distract from emotional pain, and actually you do feel better. Okay, so when you injure your body, your brain releases natural painkillers called endorphins. So by actually hurting yourself, you're releasing the endorphins that will then ease the pain. So it will make you feel better, which is why it can be so addictive. However, I'm going to repeat myself here, this is not the best place to go to when you're feeling distressed. We need to think of healthy distractions from our pain, healthy ways to cope with our pain. To feel something other than numbness and emptiness, I've kind of briefly touched on that, but yeah, if you're feeling like no feeling, and you want to, and it's horrible, I've had this many times, and yeah, you can feel so detached from reality, so awful, so numb as well, so numb that you are just kind of like, I need to feel something. I don't tend to necessarily self-harm when I'm at that place. I'll tend to reach for other reckless behaviours, and in the past that would have been drugs and alcohol, whereas now I reach for other things, but I'm going off on the sidetrack. Right, so to punish themselves. Now this is one for me, I definitely agree with this one. If I've done something wrong or I've hurt someone, I will then go and punish myself by saying, why have you done this? You deserve to be punished now. And yeah, I will do that. This is another one to, yeah, and I've done this as well, to get back at someone. So so if someone's upset me, I'll want to go and hurt myself, because I'll be like, well, you hurt me, so I'm gonna. And it's silly, because you're not hurting them, you're hurting yourself. But for some reason, you really do feel that you're getting back at someone. It's like, your fault I'm doing this, it's your fault. And yeah, it's a really real place to be. And then sometimes it's to reenact their own abuse. Now, if you've suffered from severe or any sort of abuse as a child from your parent or caregiver, it is likely that you could then repeat the actions that they were doing, so to kind of almost reenact your own abuse. And this is what happens sometimes with emotional, psychological abuse. People will then they're no longer receiving that psychological abuse, so then they'll start saying negative things to themselves. So this is a physical version of that. So they're the reasons why. Now, I've really tried to cram a lot in this video, probably too much, but I'm going to sum up here and say that self-harm is very, very serious. We need to be talking about it. We don't need to be brushing it under the carpet, because by brushing it under the carpet it's not going to do anything. Secondly, I also heard something the other day that that some MPs are trying to stop the media from showing graphic self-harm and suicide because they think that's going to cause people to do it. I really don't like swearing because I'm trying to keep this very clean, but that is such a load of shit. It really is. People are going to self-harm no matter what is going on. Even if you put it all the way out and made a whole film with every single detail in it, no more people would be self-harming than they were before. People self-harm because of the state of this world, the state of this society, because of the pain and suffering that people have gone through because of their upbringing, because of society, because of culture. People, and because of their genetics. We can't, some people may have this problem because their parents self-harm. But what I want to say is, self-harm is seriously an issue that needs to be talked about. If we keep brushing it under the carpet and blaming other people for it, blaming the media, the media get blamed for a lot of stuff. And don't get me wrong, they are one of the causes of the problem, but in a different way. Anyway, I'm going off on a massive tangent. Please bring it back, Jem. Let's bring it back to a nice end and say, if you are a self-harmer, you are not on your own. You will get through it, and you are a wonderful, amazing person, especially if you've been self-harming for many, many years and you're still going and you're still fighting it and you're still, battling with it every day. To the carers out there who look after people with self-harm, my heart goes out to you too. It's a hard place to be. I really hope this video has summed up what self-harm is, the different types of self-harm, and why we self-harm. In part 2, I'll be going on talking about how to support someone with self-harm. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already.